Mel, can we give Kevin co-host rights? Because
Yes.
he's gonna be presenting at like he's gonna be sharing the screen at some point in the presentation.
Bada bing, bada boom. Done.
Oh, you didn't have to turn off the music.
I didn't. Okay, there we go.
Give it like another minute or so, and then we can like, as people are trickling in.
Oh, Michelle is here. Hi, Sandy Lopez.
Hola, how you
Hola,
doing?
hola. Nice to see you. Illinois representing.
Glad to be here.
Happy to have you. Oh, and Leticia also here. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
All right, Chris, whenever you're ready.
I think we're good. Let's get started. Thank you for the GJ skills, Melanie. Awesome. Welcome everyone to our November PC Power Hour. It's so amazing to have you guys, to see so many of you guys here today. Um, we have a lot of great information to share with you, so hopefully it's a productive session and you guys can take something with you for your own implementation on your own campuses. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to jump right into it. Hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Awesome. And so today we have a packed agenda. And I am joined with my partner in crime, Hain Lee, who is going to be talking about some of the key findings that she was able to put together with our data team from our annual scholar survey. So you'll get to hear about what students' experiences are on your campuses, what they are liking, what they feel like they need more help with in their academic success, and really hear the student experience. I'm gonna try to follow Hain uh, and talk a little bit about doing one-on-one meetings with your scholars on campus, because we know that that is a really important piece of that scholar process. And then this is a very special PC Power Hour for us today, because we're joined by two of our superstar scholars, Yesenia Hernandez from Dominican University in Illinois, and Kevin Noriega from Delaware State University. Yesenia will be talking about some of the programming that she's been doing to build community on her campus and really get scholars connected with one another. But most importantly, how she's found some creative ways in financing those opportunities and those community gatherings. And Kevin will talk about how he's been able to leverage some of the platforms his campus was already using to really streamline his operational process on his working with his scholars. From there, we'll talk a couple of little upcoming event things that are either in process or upcoming for the next month. And then we will close it out with our open forum. Now, I say open forum, guys, because while we welcome questions from all of our panelists today, we really want to just hear from you. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear, if you're looking to collaborate with us as well, all your comments, all your feedback is welcome. Unless it's that you don't like my shirt, because I try to look really nice for you guys today. So that's the one topic that is off the table. But anything else, any information, any other questions you have, please add them to the discussion so that we can sort of continue to build on this. So with that, let's jump right into it. And I'm going to hand it over to Hayne.
Right. Okay, thank you, Chris. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Hayne. It's so exciting to see so many of our partners on this call. Chris is really here to start building our partner college community. And so it's so wonderful to have our old timers, our new timers, and our in-betweeners here with us today. So I'm going to briefly share our scholar data and what they told us in our annual survey this year to provide context for today's discussion on academic success. And then we have great experts here on this call, including yourselves, who we'd love to hear about in terms of your promising practices for supporting academic success. So next slide, please. All right, so, oh, I think that might have skipped a couple slides there, Chris. Okay. All right, I had another slide up here, but it's okay. I'm going to just talk about it. So the first thing is, before we get into the data, we want to emphasize that we are in a post-DACA world. I'm sure you're seeing it with all of your scholars right now, but we do want to emphasize the context of this conversation and serving students that do not have DACA or TPS, while understanding that some still do. So if we look at our current scholarship recipients for this academic year, 60% of them overall do not have work authorization. And this is mainly driven by the fact that 80% of our new cohort, so about 1,200 students who are starting with us this fall, do not have DACA or TPS. So as we all know, this presents heightened barriers and challenges for college and career success. So here's a quick snapshot and taking a quick look at preliminary fall 22 enrollment from our most recent EVR data, which I know all of you have now submitted. So if we look at that data, 86% of our scholars are enrolled full-time for our national scholars, and we define full-time as 12 or more credits, and the median average credits attempted is 13. And so the percent enrolled full-time did increase from 81% last spring to 86% this fall. But despite the majority of our scholars enrolling full-time, that average of 13 credits attempted per semester remains constant between the spring and then this fall semester, which means that our scholars will more than likely need 4 or more years to graduate, which assumes obviously an average of 15 credits per semester. This also doesn't take into account that every semester, about 4% of our scholars, about 100 or so, will request a semester off, usually to take care of family. Next slide. So we all know our scholars juggle many responsibilities in addition to school, which helps us understand why it's so important to frame their academic success in the context of helping them and supporting them over the course of 6 years or 150% time to complete a bachelor's degree. Here you see the blue bars on the left indicate our TheDream.Us scholars graduation rates for our national scholars starting at a 4-year institution. And you'll see that we are meeting and exceeding national benchmarks in those yellow bars, which represent all college students across the country starting at public 4-year institutions, but you'll still see that our scholars need 6 years. Next slide. So moving on to what we're actually hearing from our scholars, what do our scholars say they need for academic success? Every year we ask scholars to select all the resources they currently need to succeed in college and to support their personal wellness. And if you look at the left column on this slide, the top academic resource needed is financial aid for school expenses, as well as additional touch points for academic success. So you'll see here check-ins with their scholar advisor and tutoring are other top academic needs. And as you know, in response to the #1 need here for additional funds for academic expenses, we increased our term stipend from $500 to $750, which we hope all of our scholars have now received. And I'll talk a little bit more about the need for this these one-on-one touch points in the next slide. So scholars consistently rate their interactions with their scholar advisors very highly alongside faculty in our annual surveys. We ask them to rate their interactions with different agents on campus, and every scholar advisors and faculty are rated very highly. But our scholars also say that they are in need of meeting with their scholar advisor. So on this slide, you can see that about half of our scholars in blue here said that they met with their scholar advisor once per term last academic year to review their academic progress. And you see 1 in 3 in red said they did not. And we know from our data and qualitative feedback from our scholars that those that are able to connect with their scholar advisor have strong experiences. And previous analyses of our New York CUNY scholars have shown that meeting with scholar advisors once a term is significantly associated with feeling a sense of belonging on campus, which we then know from higher education research is significantly associated with retention, persistence, and graduation. So I think this is a great segue to hand it over to Chris to dig deeper into the importance of these one-on-ones and connecting and engaging with our scholar advisors. He's going to share some pro tips from his experiences of being a scholar advisor.
Thank you so much, Hayne. That was a great transition to what we're talking about next. So as Hayne has highlighted, right, there's some major factors in which we know that meeting with students one-on-one is a great benefit to their academic success, right? So one of the factors that we take into consideration is that the majority of our scholars are first-generation college students, right? And that they also report feelings of being isolated and disregarded, even within campus settings. And many are not sure about how to transition from their academic sort of school life into the next stage of their lives, whether that be grad school or that be joining the workforce, right? So that's where these one-on-one meetings really step in and help bridge some of these obstacles that the students face. So we know that the one-on-one meetings really help students troubleshoot particular barriers that they face in navigating college, right? That they have someone on campus specifically that they can talk to about their process, about their immigration background, that there's someone there consistently that knows their background and could give them proper advice on how to pursue their academic career. We often hear from students that they don't want to always sort of keep repeating their immigration background to new people all the time. So having someone that can consistently meet with and walk through their college process that knows these obstacles already is a great benefit to students. It gives them a sense of comfort that there is a network that is specifically designed for their success. And so they know, right, that there's someone on campus that really cares about them and is invested in their success and in their process. So a couple of tips as I've gone through these and really sort of had to put together my one-on-one meetings. So one of the things that you really want to do is, as much as possible, you want to let students know, you want to let the scholars know that these meetings will be occurring. I often would let students know at the beginning of the semester that we were blocking out this particular set of time during the semester for our one-on-one meeting, so that students already had that on their calendars. They knew that it was coming up, they were scheduling for it, and that they were already sort of preparing to have this discussion and really be a discourse and what they were doing, and they already knew that it was coming up. One of the things I told my students, though, is you don't need to wait for your one-on-one meeting with me if you have an issue that you want to discuss, right? We don't want students to say, well, everything is falling apart, but I need to wait for my one-on-one meeting, which is in the middle of the semester, in order to have this discussion with my scholar advisor. So you want to maybe have an open door policy with your students, so if there are any urgent matters that are coming up, that they know that they can still come and meet with you outside of your standardized one-on-one meeting. I really found that mid-semester or mid-quarter, depending on what system you had, was a great time to conduct these meetings. If you do the meetings too early, the student hasn't even cracked the book for their classes, there's not a lot of context, there's not a lot of knowing where the student stands in their class and how they're going to do the rest of the semester, right? If you do it too late in the semester, then there might not be enough to make adjustments in for the students to still complete the semester successfully. So that midpoint really is a sweet spot to really know where the student is. They hopefully have done some assignments. They know how they stand in their class. They can give you that sort of information, and you can work through with the student if there are any difficulties, and give them advice in terms of tutoring or other sessions or other things that they may be looking at to really make those adjustments and still end the semester strong. What I found was about 30 minutes is usually enough time to have a significant meeting with students. Especially once I got into the habit of doing them, I was really able to sort of knock them out in 25, 30 minutes, where it was a substantial enough time to really be meaningful interaction with the student, and they knew what they had to do and how to move forward. But I will say, as you continue to do these meetings, you will build relationships with your students, right? You become that person that knows their process, and they feel comfortable talking about their experiences and what they're going through. And a lot of times when students are experiencing academic difficulties, it does come from personal obstacles, personal problems that are in the student's life. And as you build that rapport with the student, that will come out in these one-on-one meetings. So many a times I've had to step back from the academic piece and say, you know what, you have a lot going on right now in your life. Let's pause the meeting, and maybe this would be a good time for you to maybe connect with some of our other resources, whether it be our mental health office for counseling, or some other food pantry information, or any other legal immigration consultations, whatever is sort of like derailing them from being able to pursue their academics successfully. It might be a good time to sort of be able to bridge that resource for them before continuing the conversation. And then, sometimes it's maybe like, focus on that and we'll reschedule another meeting to come back to the academics. So allow yourself that sort of breathing room and that flexibility. You want to block out time on your calendars for these meetings. So one of the things I had to do was really know what my capacity was, because I was managing other things on campus. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was arranging my schedule where I had enough time to focus for these one-on-one meetings with students. So if I knew that, mid-October or late October, I was doing these meetings with students, I would try to push any of my other assignments to as much as possible outside of that framework, so that I would have time to really schedule these meetings and really meet with students individually. If possible, use a scheduling system to book your appointments. When I first started with TheDream.Us, I had 20 scholars. It was super easy to just send out a couple of emails and really schedule these appointments. At my highest point, I had 160 scholars, and emails just wasn't cutting it, right? So I actually looked at my academic advisement office, because they had a scheduling system in place, a platform. It was called Agile at the time. And they were more than happy to allow me to get access to the system in order to schedule appointments with my scholars. And it really streamlined the process. Students were able to see my calendar and just book their appointments without sending multiple emails. So I would really encourage, if you're not an academic advisor yourself, I was not when I was working at Hunter College, to really reach out to those platforms and those services on campus and really see if you can get access to them, because it really helps streamline the process. You also want to make sure that you're allowing some time to put in notes for your meetings, right? You want to have some reference point of what you discussed with the student, what were the actionable items, what were the deliverables, so that you can have that as a reference point the next semester, and could always bring that back to the student as a sort of reconvening process. Before I was able to get access to that scheduling system, a lot of those scheduling systems actually do have a note-taking process component where you can put your notes right into the system and always have access to them. But before that, I was using Excel. And I just had all my students, and I would keep notes in my Excel file, and it would really allow me to see who I've met with and what were the notes for that particular meeting. You want to have a standard agenda. You want to sort of know what you are coming in to have questions with the student, what you want to discuss with the student. But again, life always sort of has a way of intervening. So you want to be flexible and really sort of meet the student where they're at, especially if they're disclosing that they're having some particular difficulties going on. So with that note, I'm going to stop the screen for a quick second as I transition to one of the guides that we put together. So I'm going to share a new screen. Hopefully everyone can see this. So this is a guide that we've put together. Again, this is just a guide, everyone. This is not to be implemented verbatim. We want this to be a sort of helpful suggestion for if you're looking at how to structure your one-on-one meetings, things that you want to discuss, topics that you should be going over. We know that everyone is coming from a different office, from a different perspective. And so you can look this through. This will be shared with you after the presentation. You can, extract and implement as you see fit, really what works for you. This is just an outline to give you some ideas of how you can structure these meetings, and really sort of take what works for you and your own implementation. So just as a quick overview, I know I don't want to go into too much because I want to give our other panelists some time to talk through their discussions. You really want to go through the student's overall academic process, their total number of credits, GPA, major declarations, if they're on track for graduation, right? Like they're consistently accumulating those credits. But like I said myself, I was not an academic advisor. So I had enough knowledge to have a surface conversation with students, but I really saw myself more of as a hub and really sort of saying, okay, I can have this basic conversation with you, but you should meet with your academic advisor to really get the specifics going, right? And that was a process that I generally used throughout my working with students, right? We had people who were pre-health advisors, pre-law advisors. We had academic advisors, right? Who knew really the in the weeds things that students should know regarding going into these tracks. So I always referred students to those specialized areas to make sure that they knew who to go to. That was where I saw my role. So going through this process, again, sort of going that overall perspective of where the student stands. And then again, that midpoint area is that point to really see where the student is in that specific term. How are your classes going right now? What are you, where you need some additional assistance with? If the student is maybe indicating that they're not doing well and they think that they're going to fail a class, the Dream.Us has a couple of partnerships with modern states to allow them to take CLEPT exams. So they may be able to take a CLEPT exam in order to make up that class instead of having to retake it the next semester, right? Again, it's really about the referrals and just knowing what's out there, what's being supported through the Dream.Us directly, and what is being supported on your campus, and really getting students to that person. You don't have to know it all, right? As long as you know that one person where to send the scholar. The rest of it is a little bit more detailed in terms of what students should be focusing on a semester by semester basis. When they should be looking at their resumes, when they should be looking at internships and things of that nature. I don't want to go through it in detail because I want to allow some more time for our colleagues to also speak. But again, this will be shared with you for your own interpretation and for your own implementation as needed. So with that being said, again, these one-on-one meetings really help the student feel a sense of community, a sense that they belong to something, and someone who is really working great wonders on that scope of making our students feel welcome and as part of a community. I would like to pass it off to Yesenia.
Hello, everyone. So thank you, Chris. I'm very excited to be with you all today. As Chris mentioned, I am Desenia. I do go by Jessie. I am the new assistant director for the Center of Cultural Liberation, and I'm also the Undocumented Student Support Coordinator. I'm very excited. It is my first year. Dominican is not new to being part of the Dream.Us, but it is new to being part of an opportunity school for the first time this year. So it's really been very exciting. To be coming in a time where we're adding more students and being able to put in more support. It's also very excited because I am a recent Dominican graduate. I did both my undergraduate at Dominican, and then I stayed on and did my MSW and was able to do this. And while I was doing all of this, I was also a Dream.Us scholar. So I am a Dream.Us alum, and that has driven a lot of my work. When I was as a Dream.Us student, our previous scholar advisors had tried to do a community and they tried to do activities, but they weren't really consistent. And during my last year as a senior during the pandemic, our director was opening up the center and she tried to do consistency as well. So we've been doing taking my experience of being a student and seeing how Jackie was trying to do these activities, but it was pandemic time, so we took that time to brainstorm what would it be if we didn't have any of these restrictions. And so over the summer, a lot of the questions that we were asking ourselves was, how do we make a space for our students to feel welcome, not only at the individual level, but at a community level, to have the comunidad, because a lot of our students often need that. I remember being an undergrad and not knowing who are other students that are under my scholarship, or who are other students. We had a club here on campus, and it's still in existence, but students still wanted that community. So some of the things that we've been doing out of our cultural center was creating and structuring outings. So some of the things that we've done this semester at the beginning, so right off the bat, before we actually started the semester, we had a welcome, and that welcome was just a movie night, and it allowed students to not only learn the students that were coming in and students that were traveling in, but also returning students so that they could see an upperclassman to them. And later on that month, we had a wellness dinner, and that wellness dinner was a conversation on just hey, come grab some dinner and let's talk about how's your transition to college going? How's your time coming? And we invited somebody from our wellness center to also talk to us about some of the feelings that they were having. In October, so once the semester was a little bit had already started, we did a Pilsen visit. And the Pilsen visit, we did it in the sense of we have that new cohort of students coming from out of state who still were trying to understand, we're in a park, which is really outside of the community, really outside of the city. But we wanted students to see what a community that was similar to them, a community that has a rich culture. So we did a Pilsen outing, and in the Pilsen outing, we have a picture. We did a printmaking workshop, so students did a little bit of art. But then they also saw all of the murals around them, and they had a lot of fun just hanging out, being out of the classroom space, being out of the Dominican space, and just posting around in front of certain murals, getting to know one another, getting to know some of the food, getting to know some of the other community partnerships that we have. So we partnered up with the Pilsen Arts Community House, and they did the printmaking workshop for us, but then we also partnered up with the local food shop that some of our students had never had gorditas, and so they actually had to eat some gorditas for the first time, or some of even though one of the common things that I was hearing from our out-of-state students is that they had never had a taco with tortillas, and to them it was mind-blowing. So it was a new experience for them. But then one of the other things that we've done recently, we just did a movie night where we watched the Wakanda Forever movie, and that one we partnered up with the other group here on the center, and it was really nice to actually see someone extreme. They loved it, they really enjoyed it, and just so that and at the end, recently before people went on their break, we had a resident dinner. So for our residents that are on campus, we knew that a couple of them were not going to be able to go home. So we got together and we did a resident dinner for them to like, just a time for them to spend in community, spend in reflection. So we are new, so I'm learning about the money things that they want to do. But we are been having a lot of fun over here. So Chris, can we go to the next one? So I know a lot of the question is, how are you funding a lot of these, or how are we actually getting them? So like I've mentioned, one of the big things is that we are coming from a multicultural center. So my work as a scholar advisor is coming from that multicultural center viewpoint. But with that, we've been doing a lot of intercampus collaboration. So for example, when we did that wellness conversation at the beginning of the year, wellness was able to help us find a speaker. So he was one of the, has been doing therapy, he's a Latino background, and so wellness was like, we can have your speaker as long as you guys provide the food. So we were able to come in the welcome dinner, and so we hosted the workshop by the food, but then our speaker was given to us by wellness. Our ministry center, we've also been really good in collaboration with them, so they've been able to collaborate us with Sunday dinners for our residents. So in that sense, we've been able to do that intercollaborations, and it's been an interesting and fun experience, because then our students also see that here's another center that also wants to provide and create this community space for that. And then we've done a lot of combined programming. So because our center does have two pillars, it has both undocumented student support and Black and African American student support. We've done able to do conjoint programs where we bring both programs together and do such as the outings, the family dinners. We will be hosting a Zoo Lights event in December. So we've been able to find the other programs that we can conjoin with. And so students get to also make community with other cohorts as well. And then we've been able to go ahead and collaborating with community organizations. So it's reaching out to community orgs. So one example, the Pilsen Art House, we literally just call them and we say like, hey, you know, we have a group of students, we haven't seen the Pilsen, we want to do some art, and then we're like, can you guys do a guided tour? And they're like, yeah, we can do that, we can give you guys a tour, we can do a printmaking stuff. We've also done the Mexican Art Museum, and we've been like, hey, you know, we want to take some students there, and they're like, yeah, we can go, and like they provided it. So it's a lot of us reaching out to the community, letting them know like, hey, it's a group of students, we want to explore, we want to do this. And some of these community organizations, they've been able to either host us, they've been either to like point us to a different person, like, you know, we can't host that, we don't do that, but we know of this other community group that does that. And so it's just a lot of like us connecting with them, which has been really fun as well, just because a lot of people have been really interested in like being able to bring these spaces, students to these spaces. And then again, it's been us contacting to local family-owned business, especially when it comes to food. Food is amazing and it's great, but it's with the prices, it could also be something challenging. So we've been able to connect with family-owned businesses, connect with local businesses, and they've been the ones that have been like very like, not only did they get really excited that they get giant orders, but then it's also really exciting because then sometimes we had some of those local businesses come in and just like talk to us, and they're really interested in like meeting our scholars and being able to like be a part of our community. The other tip that we've done is all of our programming is first come, first serve. And the reason is because, well, at Dominican, we do have both opportunity and national scholars. So if we were to do a programming, it's like 150 scholars in general, which is amazing. But sometimes like space can't be accommodated, so that, and we understand that. So one of the things is we do give students time. So like, let's say I give them 2-3 weeks ahead of time, like, hey, we're gonna do this program, this is the date. If you're able to come, please RSVP. And that gives our students a sense of accountability, because we are telling them like, I have 20 slots. And so that we know that we're gonna be able to have 20 slots. Sometimes they'll have events and they'll have a wait list. And so in case somebody drops out, then I can message a student, hey, do you still want to come along? And most of the time we've been able to fill out all of our spots. I'm very excited because, like I said, we are planning in December a Zoo Lights event. So the Zoo Lights, we were able to get free tickets. And so I'll be able to take up to 30 students this time. So very exciting. And I hope all of this helps. But again, it's a lot of managing our resources and being able to communicate with other departments. And I think Kevin right now is being able to finding a way to manage your resources and being able to have those resources for students. So I'm passing off to Kevin.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Kevin Noriega, and I would like to start my time by introducing myself. Again, I'm Kevin Noriega. I was born and raised in Venezuela. I came here to the United States at the age of 19 through a baseball scholarship. It was the best decision coming here to the States, the best decision that my family made on my behalf until I grew up and I started making my own decisions. But it was the best decision my family made on my behalf, considering, considering the situation that was developing in Venezuela in such a negative way. I've been a higher education professional for about a little bit over 10 years. And I've had the opportunity to serve and support the student community in different areas, such as career advising, academic advising, recruiting, student success, student support, on-campus housing. And I did some recruiting, but I think I already said that before. And so in 2016, fast forward to 2016, Delaware State University created the partnership with Delaware State University. TheDream.Us created the partnership with Delaware State University, and that's where I started. That's where I became the scholar advisor back in 2016, and I've been a scholar advisor since then. And we have matriculated a little bit over 200 students here at DSU. Next one, Chris, please. And so what are we talking about today? So today I'm going to share information on a way how we can streamline the wealth of information that we provide towards our undocumented students. And what we're going to use in order to streamline that information is a learning management system. So here at Delaware State University, we use Blackboard. And so we use Blackboard, the learning management system. And I created a community, right, in order within Blackboard to streamline all that information that we share with our students. Next one, Chris, please. So why did I decide to execute this idea? And you know, challenges and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of us. Challenges, we have a love and hate relationship. I hate it because, you know, us as human beings, we hate being in such an uncomfortable moments and feelings, but I love it. And, you know, I love it because it allows me to get the best of me. It allows me to touch on that creative side of me. And so me being the only or one of the few contacts that our students have at Delaware State University, I always get a lot of emails coming in, right? Different resources for our students, both from the university and coming outside in. And so what does that mean for us as people that serve and interact with Dreamers is that there are a lot of emails coming out, right? And so I saw that to be very ineffective, very inefficient. And so I asked myself, well, how can I centralize all this information and make it more efficient, make it more effective, and make it visible, right? 24/7 for our students. And this is how I came up with the idea of using our learning management system, Blackboard. And again, this is just at DSU, but some of your colleges and universities, right, may use different learning management system. We have D2L, Canvas, etc. And so this is how I came up with the idea of creating a Blackboard community group where I'm able to streamline all this wealth of information that we receive for our students. Next one, Chris, please. And so why should you create this community using your college or university learning management system? What are the benefits? And one of the some of the benefits is that you're able to provide all this information, all these resources under one entity, right? So it can be a convenience store, right? Whatever you want to call it, a one-stop shop, a one-stop hop, right? And you're able to just dump all that information in there. Also, with that, once you create that community within, or that group, right, within your learning management system, the student will have access to that information 24/7, 365 days of the year, right? So it's highly visible, highly accessible, and you guys know what type of students we're working with, right? We have to be very persistent. We have to almost like start breathing on their necks, say, hey, you know, I send you this, I send you that, right? And so when you create this community, right, and you have all this information in one place, right, they have that information available at their fingertips, right? A lot of the learning management system have what? They have apps, and our students are always on what? On phones, on applications, right? So this is a great way to make it visible and accessible 24/7 all the time, and also gives you a way, and it's also a major benefit of creating a group or a community within your learning management system is like I said before, it allows you to centralize all that information and allow the students to not be scattered when it comes to researching information, but they know, okay, well, Mr. Noriega created the Opportunity Scholars Program community group. I can find there all these different types of information. So again, I told you guys before that my challenge was sending so many emails out to my students. And we know already that our students get bombarded with emails all day, every day. So now by centralizing this information within the community or the group in the learning management system, it makes your idea, it makes your initiative now effective and efficient. And the best part of everything, that is free, right? So usually you don't have to pay for it. Well, the university is paying for it, right? But we are already using that platform, right, in order to serve the student community. And so I said, why not, right? And so that's another benefit of creating that community, that group within the learning management system that your college or university is using. Another great benefit of these platforms, these learning management systems, is that it allows you to track data. And so particularly with Blackboard, it allows me to see, let's just talk about, for example, scholarships. Let's say that I want to see how many of my dreamers, right, have looked at the information I've posted under the scholarship tab. I'm able to access that information. And so with that data, tracking views and engagement, right, I'm able to see, okay, well, I've created this support system, this one-stop shop for our students. What are the challenges that I'm having? Why, you know, let's say that, for example, you're not getting a lot of views or the engagement is very low, you're able to make adjustment. So this is great because, again, it allows you to measure and assess the data so you can make adjustment and continue to provide that effective and efficient support. The other thing that I like, and I think is also a great benefits that learning management systems have, is that they give you flexibility. So for example, with Blackboard, I can post videos, I can post website links, I can record myself doing a workshop. Like for example, usually when I have brand new freshmen, I usually do workshop on how do you look up courses, where do I find resources at the university, and so you can post all that information under that one community, right? And so it gives you a lot of flexibility, and you know the attention span for a lot of our students. I love them, but you know their attention span is very short. It's important for you to make it dynamic, right? So record yourself, render workshops and put pictures and text, not just only limit yourself to providing text within the community and the information that you provided within this community or group. And so again, that is something for you to look at depending on the learning management system that your college or university uses. Next slide, please. And so a few things to keep in mind is that you want to make the information loud. And so what do I mean by this? You want to highlight it, bold it, put it in red, highlight it in yellow, especially, and let's just stick to scholarships, for instance. Like, you don't want to provide a bunch of information about this particular scholarship and then just put the deadline at the end. No, make that critical, that pertinent information, make it very loud. Put at the very beginning, application deadline, December 1st, notes. It doesn't matter what status you have, you can apply for it. So those critical information, you want to make it sound louder, right? And you want to put it at the top. You also want to arrange information. And again, let's just stick to the example of scholarships. You don't just want to dump information. And for example, Blackboard, I'm gonna show this later. Blackboard, you have tabs, right? And so if I create a tab titled scholarships, right? I just don't want to just dump information about scholarships, right? I want to arrange it based on deadline. So in that way, not only I'm providing an effective, a self-effective and a self-sufficient support system, but it's also I'm allowing the navigation process of the student to be also effective and efficient. We already know they're already all stressed out, a lot of mental health challenges, family issues, personal issues, trying to find themselves on their campus. So we also have to find a way how to make the navigation process of this community, of this group, or this information, how to make it effective and efficient for them. Post reminders, right? So Blackboard allows me to post announcements. And sometimes I do announcements with text. Sometimes I use screencast schematic, and I just record myself just in letting the students know, hey guys, I just posted an update on your scholarship tab. I just posted some information in regards to career opportunities, internship opportunities. Let them know so you can increase the engagement, right? The engagement level of the students related to this community, of this group that you have created for your student. Also, and we live in a great age where everything you can find in Google, right? So if you're not really versatile in the learning management system that your university uses, YouTube, right? You can just essentially YouTube anything. I mean, you can find anything on the internet. So, and I say that to say, because if you don't know how to work the learning management system, you can find ways how to learn how to work it effectively, right? And so when you post new information in your community group, right, for your students, right, you also want to make sure that every time you post new information or you post an announcement, that they get an email, an email communication that say, hey, my advisor has posted some new information under this community group, okay? And lastly, you want to update the information. And again, and this is more towards, we have to make sure that their navigation process, the information reviewing process for our student is also effective, right? So they can take advantage of their time, right? So you want to update information, career opportunities, internships, scholarship that their deadline has already passed, get rid of them, pass them towards the end, or just delete them altogether from the community or the group that you have created under your learning management system. And I think that is my last slide. So what I want to do is I want to show you very briefly what my Blackboard looks like.
Hey, Kevin, I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the interest of time,
Okay.
I think we're going to move on to Haynes to talk about the surveys that are coming up.
Okay.
But I will ask Jesse and Kevin, if you guys can include your contact information in the chat box so that our PCs can connect with you if they're interested about other ways of starting communities on their campus, or how to use Blackboard on their campus, or any other management system, that they would be able to reach out to you directly, and maybe you guys will be willing to have those separate conversations offline.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Both of you are amazing. Thank you so much for all of that information. We are going to pass it off to Hayne with an update.
Yes, thank you, Chris. And thank you so much, Jesse and Kevin and Chris. What we're really hoping is that these spaces become these power hours become spaces for you all to share your promising practices, seeing the conversations in the chat of folks sharing what they're doing. I know there are some new partner college folks here on the conversation as well, who hopefully are picking up some ideas of things that they want to implement. So please keep the conversation going. And we want to hear from you as well. We're using this time to uplift and put a spotlight on particular promising practices happening at certain campuses, but we know that there are so many practices, best practices, promising practices happening across our partner college network. And so we want to get a sense of what is happening on your campus. So in your inbox, you should have received a link to our 2022 Partner College Survey. And essentially the survey has two key goals. One is we really want to get your feedback on this program and your experiences of implementing the Dream.Us program on your campus. It helps us better support you all in this work. We certainly have spent a lot of time focusing on our resources and supports for our scholars, but we so know that our partner colleges and folks like you are really the linchpin to this program and for our scholars and their success. And so we want to better understand the program's capacity and scalability on your campus as the cohorts continue to grow. And then we want to better understand the presence of these institutional practices in supporting not just our scholars, but undocumented college and career success. Anecdotally, we hear about the great conferences that are happening, student club activity, the presence of undocumented students in student government, for example, and we want to be able to know what's happening and what those best practices are across the country, ultimately to hand that data back to you as well. One of the things we want to launch for next year is a directory so that beyond these info sessions, which are great for that personal touch or as personal as we can get in a virtual setting, we want to be able to better facilitate your work. So if you have a question about setting up NEBOs on campus, we want to collect this data to be able to provide a directory so that you can look up other campus staff members who are already doing this work that you may be able to connect with and reach out directly to. So please check your inbox. You should see a survey invitation. Please search your inbox for the 2022 TheDream.Us Partner College Survey. We ask that you take about 30 minutes to fill those questions out. And depending on where you sit on the Dream.Us team, those questions will be adapted to your role. So for example, if you're more involved with career services, you'll get questions pertinent to career services available on campus. If you're a scholar advisor, we'll ask you to answer all of those questions to the best of your knowledge. So we ask that you fill that survey out by Friday, December 23rd, and we would so appreciate your honest feedback on what's happening on your campus to support undocumented student success. Okay, all right, so Chris, I'll hand it to you.
So to wrap up, guys, and I know I'm trying to be conscious of the time, so just some quick updates. So fall payments have already been made out to our PCs within the last couple of weeks. It would be, we know that it takes some time, especially with these very large cohorts, for our PCs to break down those wire transfers and post them to individual students' accounts. But it would be super helpful if you guys could just send out a notice to your students and let them know that you have received the funding from the Dream.Us and that it's being processed internally on your campus, and more or less when they should expect their accounts to be cleared, because students do get antsy and they're like starting to get nervous about next semester coming up and their courses being dropped and whatsoever. So a little note from you guys goes a long way in really sort of managing that anxiety for students. So if you guys can really just send them a note, it would really help a lot. As well as letting you guys know about our next PC Power Hour, which is coming up next month, December 20th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is at the end of the semester, so it's just going to be some house cleaning things. We want to make sure that you know about some special program partnerships that the Dream.Us has for our scholars, so that you can sort of properly advise students on that. And maybe some holiday giveaways. Wait a minute, I didn't write that. Frank, did you write that? Did you write that on the PowerPoint? I didn't write that. Well, I guess we have to do it now. So it's already there. We've already announced it. So I guess we're giving out some giveaways at our next Power Hour, but you have to be there if you want to sort of get it. So make sure that you are here. We have a few minutes for an open forum. I want to sort of, again, just open it up for our attendees to really ask questions. If you have any comments, anything, you can post them in the chat box, or please feel free to unmute yourselves and we'll be able to hear you, which is always great. Don't be shy.
Question for Kevin. Thanks for the great tips on the LMS platforms. How do you get the students enrolled? Like, do you just enroll all scholars into a course? And how do you protect privacy when doing something like that on Blackboard or Canvas?
We have a, I believe it's called the Distant Learning Office. And then I think anything less than 30 students, I'm able to add them myself. And there's a particular way to add it in Blackboard. So if your university uses Blackboard, I'll be very happy to meet with you and then show you. But anything beyond 30, they add this, the distance learning office, they add the students themselves. In terms of privacy, I am the organizational, the leader of the community group, so nobody else has access to that information but myself or the DSU reps. So there is no compromising of information, of student information or any type of private information related to the students.
Great, thanks so much.
I have a question. I'm Leticia from Illinois Institute of Technology. I noticed that our students don't really realize that if they don't enroll for 15 credit hours per semester, that they will not graduate in 4 years. And so one of the things that I've been making a point, and I have to do a better job at doing a lot of the stuff that you guys said. So owning that, we'll work on it. But I'm curious to know what advice, what tips, what guidance do you provide the students so that maybe I can pick some of that up and use it to try to get these students to finish as soon as possible, because I am shocked to see that a lot of our students finish in 6 years, which clearly that's a financial problem. So just wanted to get some guidance from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to step in for that one just a little bit. So I think, again, I think that is where these one-on-one meetings are really super helpful. And just sort of just doing that recap, right? So I always started with a recap in terms of, this is the number of credits that you have. This is sort of what you finished last semester. This is sort of where you stand. And from there, sort of make a little bit of an estimated projection, right? So I always told my students, you need 120 credits to graduate. You can't graduate with anything less than that. And so if you're going at this pace, students can usually sort of get to see, all right, whether I'm going to be able to finish in 4 years, 5 years, or what that is. But again, I was not an academic advisor, so I always told them, listen, just credit-wise, this is the pace that you're going on, but there are also course requirements. There's also major you need to also be meeting with your academic advisor to make sure all of those things are being checked off, because you could have 160 credits, but if all those requirements are not met, you're still not going to be able to graduate in that time frame. So I think these, again, one-on-one meetings really help with that and reinforcing that and really keeping student mindset on, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I need, this is the goal, and this is how all the people I need to be meeting with to make sure that I meet that goal.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it does boil down to that one-on-one. Yeah, just need more hours in one day.
That I can't help you with.
Yeah, unfortunately. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, feedbacks? Anybody wants to collaborate with us? Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Joe.
Chris, I do have a question. When you talk about collaborating with you, do you mean PCs? Or like the Dream.Us coming to campus? What would collaboration look like?
I mean, I don't know if one of my colleagues wants to step in on that, but we currently, Kevin and Yesenia collaborated with us in sharing some of their practices and just being a part of our PC Power Hour. But again, just reinforcing the work that you guys are doing. How could we continue to work with you? How can we elevate? How we can highlight the work that you're doing on sort of a national scale? And if you guys have any suggestions yourselves on different ways in which you wish you could collaborate with us. I can't 100% confirm, but we're always open to ideas, and we really want this to be a partnership. We really want our PCs to feel like we are engaged as a community and working together with these aspects. So we welcome sort of any ideas that our PCs have.
And I'll add to that. Most of our team are relationship managers and have a portfolio of partner colleges. So when we get this survey data, we'll be reaching back out to you to talk about what are the practices you find effective, how are you using them, and then we can help you if there's a way to expand them or scale them on your campus, but almost more importantly, lift those to our other partner colleges. So having this data is just going to be so instrumental in helping us better support you and better lift the good work you're already doing.
Awesome. Any other questions, concerns, everyone? I think we're at time. So I want to just, on behalf of the TheDream.Us team, just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Kevin, again. You guys are awesome rock stars. Thank you, everyone, for joining. If you have any questions for Kevin, Jesse, myself, Hayne, please feel free to email us. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and looking forward to seeing you guys all at our next PC Power Hour next month. Make sure you're coming in for those giveaways, and we'll talk soon.